Did you know that the first signs of dementia can appear up to a year before an official diagnosis? This fact often surprises people. What's most shocking isn't the memory loss that shows up later on, but the small changes that happen much earlier and often go unnoticed. These are subtle signs, easy to brush off or confuse with normal aging, but they can actually say a lot. Recognizing them early can make a huge difference in how we handle the future. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 early warning signs that can show up as much as a year before dementia is diagnosed. They aren't dramatic or obvious, but they matter. From small changes in behavior to unusual decision-making, often it's the body and mind trying to quietly send a signal. And the earlier we catch it, the more calmly and consciously we can respond. This video isn't here to scare you. It's here to inform and support you so you can take better care of your health and help those around you too. Stick with me until the end, because besides understanding these early signs better, you'll also get practical tips that can support a longer, safer, and more independent life, whether it's for you or someone you love. And if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Here at Health and Vitality, we're in this together, keeping you informed, empowered, and confident, one video at a time. Ready to get started? Number 1. Memory slips in daily tasks. One of the first and most commonly overlooked signs is subtle memory lapses during everyday routines. These changes are quiet and usually show up in things that used to feel automatic. It's not about forgetting everything at once or not recognizing family members. That usually comes later. What often happens first are small mistakes in daily life. For example, walking into the kitchen and forgetting why, misplacing your glasses even though you always leave them in the same spot, or missing an appointment you were sure you had written. Down alone, these lapses may seem harmless. After all, who hasn't forgotten something once in a while? But when they start happening more often, or start interfering with your routine, it's time to pay attention. Often the person feels a quiet frustration, like they know something isn't quite right. They might feel embarrassed or try to cover it up, thinking they're just tired or distracted. But here's the important part. It's not just the forgetting itself, and it's not realizing it's happening. They might repeat the same story several times in a day without noticing until someone gently points it out. Or they might forget the stove on. Not because they were in a rush, but because the task simply vanished from their mind halfway through. When these memory slips start affecting practical life, like forgetting to take medication, pay bills, or manage daily responsibilities, it's time to seek help. A touching example is Mr. Osvaldo, 74. His daughter started noticing that every time they talked on the phone, he would ask the same question about her job. At first, it just seemed like a sweet way to start the conversation. But over time, she realized he genuinely didn't remember the answers. He also forgot to renew his driver's license, something he'd done for decades. None of this happened suddenly, but the small memory issues started adding up. These kinds of memory lapses often begin months, or even a year, before the more obvious signs of dementia. And because they're so subtle, they're easy to miss. But if noticed with care, they can serve as early silent warning signs. And the sooner we identify them, the sooner we can act, by talking to a professional, tracking changes over time, or making small adjustments to daily life that can help the older adult stay safer and more independent. Number 2. Changes in mood and personality. When we think about dementia, most people immediately think of memory loss. But what many don't realize is that changes in mood and personality can show up even before memory begins to fade. And that's the second early warning sign. These changes aren't just normal mood swings or reactions to a stressful day. They're subtle shifts that don't quite match the way the person has always been. And the most important part, they often happen without any clear reason. A common sign is increased irritability. That calm, patient man who always handled things with ease may start getting frustrated more easily, snapping at small inconveniences, or showing irritation when plans change. It's not that life got harder. It's that their ability to cope with it is changing. Other times, the shift looks more like anxiety or social withdrawal. Someone who once loved church gatherings or book clubs may start avoiding them. They might say they're just tired, or that They'd rather stay home, but underneath it could be a sense of feeling overwhelmed by conversations, busy environments, or even the idea of getting there. Some people begin to show quiet sadness, like their interest in life is slowly fading. They stop calling friends, let go of hobbies, or lose motivation for things they used to enjoy. It's not necessarily depression. It's a kind of unexplained apathy, like their inner spark is dimming. These emotional changes are especially concerning when there's no obvious cause, like a recent loss or illness. Family members often say they just don't seem like themselves anymore. A son might notice his mum doesn't laugh at jokes like she used to. A friend might feel the conversation has become colder, more distant. And those small emotional shifts, they matter. Another subtle sign can show up in how someone responds to new information. Take Mr. Walter, age 76. He'd always been open-minded and curious, but his daughter started noticing he was becoming more suspicious and rigid. He began questioning her when she explained simple things, like changes to his health plan, and would dismiss new ideas with unusual firmness. It wasn't just grumpiness, it was a shift in how he saw the world. These changes in mood and personality are important clues that the brain may be having trouble managing emotions and behavior. They often appear months before memory loss becomes obvious. Acting as silent, red flags. So if someone close to you starts acting differently, becoming more withdrawn, emotionally flat, or reacting with anger where they used to stay calm, it's time to pay attention. Yes, mood changes can have many causes, like medications or temporary sadness, but if these changes are new, persistent, and out of character, it's worth looking deeper. The sooner we recognize these signs, the sooner we can act by seeking medical guidance, adjusting routines, or simply offering more presence and support. And if you've made it this far and you're finding this information helpful, type the number 2 in the comments to let us know you're here and learning with us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button and turn on notifications. Your support helps us keep sharing valuable content that informs and inspires. Let's keep going. Number 3, trouble following conversations. The third early sign that may appear up to a year before a dementia diagnosis is difficulty following conversations. A lot of people assume this is just a sign of poor hearing or being distracted, but it can actually be something deeper. It may indicate that the brain is starting to struggle with processing the flow of information, especially when it's happening in real time or in busy environments where several people are talking at once. We're not talking about occasionally forgetting a word or losing your train of thought. That happens to everyone. What we're talking about is a more consistent pattern. The person often asks others to repeat what was just said, not because they didn't hear it, but because they couldn't keep up with the conversation. Sometimes they even respond out of context, even though they were paying attention. Imagine a family lunch with everyone chatting and laughing. Mr. Harold, 82, had always been the life of the party, but at recent gatherings, his daughter noticed he barely spoke. He just smiled and nodded without really joining in. Later, when she asked him about the conversation, he said he didn't really understand what was going on. That's when she realized it wasn't disinterest. He was having a hard time following the back and forth of the discussion. Situations where multiple voices are speaking at once, topics change quickly, or even a little background noise can make conversations feel overwhelming. And when that happens, the person may start pulling back naturally. Someone who used to love chatting might begin avoiding social situations, not out of shyness, but out of fear they won't keep up or might say something off topic. Another common sign is struggling to find the right words. They know what they want to say, but the word just won't come. They might use vague phrases like "that thing" or stop mid-sentence without being able to finish their thought. This can even happen with simple, everyday words they've used for years. And here's the tough part. They know it's happening. It causes frustration, self-doubt, and even fear of speaking in public or around people they don't know well. Over time, this can impact their confidence. They speak less, avoid conversations, and sadly, that can lead to emotional isolation. And emotional isolation doesn't just hurt, it actually speeds up cognitive decline. since communication is one of the most powerful ways to keep the brain active and healthy. So if someone you care about seems quieter in conversations, often gets lost in dialogue, or struggles to follow even simple topics, pay close attention. It may not be an obvious warning sign, but it could be the brain gently asking for help. Let's care for those we love with attention and kindness, and if you're finding this information helpful and think it's important to talk more about this topic, type the number 3 in the comments, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do that. Here on the Health and Vitality channel, we're walking this journey with you, one step at a time, to support long-lasting wellness. Number 4. Losing interest in favorite activities. The fourth early sign that may point to changes in the brain, even before noticeable memory loss, is losing interest in activities that once brought joy. This sign often shows up so gradually and subtly that even close family members might take a while to notice. It's not like the person suddenly decides to stop everything. It's a quiet withdrawal, barely noticeable at first, but it reflects a deep shift in how they engage with life. Take Mr. Walter, for example. At 78, he was always passionate about his garden. He planted tomatoes, tended the soil, and took great pride in every detail. But one spring, his daughter noticed the garden was overgrown and neglected. When she asked about it, he just said, not this year." The next spring came out and still nothing. The tools stayed untouched in the shed. Where there was once care and joy, weeds had taken over. This kind of withdrawal has nothing to do with laziness, fatigue, or even bad moods. In many cases, it's the brain slowly losing its natural drive for pleasure, reward, and purpose. And the tricky part is, the person might not even seem sad. They may still be polite, smiling, and interacting normally, but that spark that used to light up their interests, it's fading. You might notice they stop planning activities, show little excitement for social events, or avoid commitments they used to love. Even personal care might slip. Clothes become more casual, the house a bit messier, unopened mail piling up. They haven't stopped because they can't. They've stopped because the inner motivation that used to push them forward just isn't there anymore. Even watching TV or reading might feel overwhelming. They sit in front of the screen but don't follow the story. Books are left unfinished. Magazines collect dust, and when you ask what they've been up to, they say, "Oh, just resting." Nothing much. This kind of emotional flatness is often mistaken for normal aging, but there's an important difference. Aging is about slowing down physically. This is more like a fading of emotional connection, a quiet stepping away from the things that once brought meaning. And sometimes this withdrawal is a way to protect themselves. They may be aware of their memory slips or trouble following conversations. They avoid certain situations not out of disinterest, but out of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of not keeping up, so they step back silently. In these moments, the most powerful response is kindness. Pushing or pressuring doesn't help. What this person needs is presence, patience, and someone who truly listens. Sometimes just one gentle conversation can open the door to understanding what's going on and to getting help if needed. If this message resonates with you, comment the number 4 below. That way I'll know you're here with me, all the way through. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Here on the Health and Vitality channel, you'll find meaningful, trusted guidance to help you live with more balance, confidence, and well-being. Let's keep going, with health and vigor to ease any pain. Number 5. Getting lost or disoriented. Even in familiar places. Picture a simple situation. You're heading somewhere you've been going for years, but suddenly the streets feel unfamiliar. The route feels confusing, like your brain has erased a mental map that was always there. It might seem like a small thing, but this is actually one of the most serious and most overlooked early signs of dementia. That's exactly what happened with Mr. Francisco, age 82. Every Sunday, he drove the same short 10-minute route to a small church he loved, but one day he missed a familiar turn, then circled the block several times, unsure why it felt so wrong. He finally made it to Mass, anxious and disoriented. A month later, he called his daughter, lost, just a mile from his own house. He couldn't remember how to get back home. These episodes go beyond simple forgetfulness. They're moments of true disorientation, and they often become more frequent over time. And it's not just outside the home. A person might suddenly forget where the silverware is kept, or confuse one door with another when trying to find the bedroom. It's like the brain starts losing track of its own surroundings. Places that were once familiar start to feel strange and unfamiliar. This shakes a person's confidence. They might stop going out alone, not because they can't walk or drive, but because they're afraid of getting lost. And sadly, many times loved ones don't even notice. The person learns to cover it up. They change the road. Traffic was weird today. I just took a different route. But inside they're battling fear and uncertainty. This kind of spatial confusion is more than just occasional forgetfulness. It shows that the brain is struggling to process space, direction, and navigation. A simple trip to the grocery store, visiting a friend, or finding the bathroom in a restaurant can become overwhelming. That's why if you notice someone hesitating more when going to familiar places or depending more on others to navigate, it's time to pay attention. This isn't just aging. It's a red flag, and it's a sign that deserves care, not shame. And if it's happening to you, please know this is not something to hide. It's something to care for, to talk about, to seek support for. Because when these signs are noticed, early it opens the door to action, to conversations, to doctor visits, to small changes in daily habits that can protect a person's independence for as long as possible. As we reflect on these 5 subtle signs that may appear up to a year before a dementia diagnosis, one truth becomes clear. Awareness is care. Unexplained. Mood changes, word-finding difficulties, losing interest in beloved activities, struggling with simple tasks, and now getting lost in familiar places. These are all the brain's quiet way of asking for help. And recognizing these signs early can change everything. It can create space for understanding, for planning, for quality time. If you've recognized any of these signs in someone you care about, or even in yourself, don't panic. Your strength lies in seeing it, naming it, and seeking support with love, respect, and courage. Because here's what matters most. You are not defined by your memory. You are defined by your story, by your wisdom, and by how you choose to live each day. If any part of this message touched your heart, leave a comment and share your thoughts. Tell us which sign stood out the most to you and how you plan to use this knowledge. We love reading your stories. They keep us inspired to continue this mission, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Join our community. Like this video, tap the bell, and share it with someone you love. Together we can bring more awareness, more care, and more vitality to the lives of those who need it most. See you in the next video. Health and vigor, for strength, joy, and a better tomorrow.